Right, welcome to a complete account of all the grammar you need from the beginning of the third form until the last stage of the remove year, that's stage 14. In these slides, the new stuff for that stage is in red, as you can read, and the earlier stuff that you've already covered in previous stages is in bold. Okay, so the stuff in black type that isn't bold is stuff that you haven't done yet for that stage. So, let's begin our journey. Here's the overall thing, 0 it says, i.e. there's nothing bold on there or new. That's the whole shape of it all, on one side of A4. So let's start stage 1. Here we are. Just a few things here, just really some terms that you have to know. Noun, verb, preposition, prepositional phrase. Also a few things about word order, which you'll see in your booklet, and how to translate things. Not a lot really in stage 1. The fun begins in stage 2 with some proper grammar. You've got subject and object there. Those are the words we give to things in the sentence, either what's doing it, the subject, or what's having it done to it, which is the object. And we learn on the left hand side over here, we learn the two Latin-y words for that, nominative and accusative, the two cases. And we see that the M on the end is a sign of the accusative. So the M on the end means that that noun is in the accusative case. That means that noun is the object, which means that it's having something done to it. Okay, we see now in stage 3, we're kind of filling out the noun endings a bit more clearly here. We learn about the word declension. There are 3 main noun declensions in Latin, which is 3 different kinds of ways in which the nouns have endings. So we've got the first declension endings there, second and the third. The X there means it can be anything really, so canis, rex, leo, mercator, grumio, senex, quite different kinds of ending there. But that's the pattern you have to know for stage 3. Stage 4, we jump down to the green table to the verbs, and we learn the really simple endings for I, you, and she or he. So we see the first person singular, second and third person singular. The O on the end means I'm doing it, S is you, T is he or she. And we also learn the beginning of the irregular verb to be, I am, you are, and she is. Stage 5, we fill out the plurals. Okay, so we learn the plural noun endings in the nominative case. So feminae, so we, canes, for example, across our 3 declensions. And in the verbs, the ending for they, the main plural ending, is nt, and we also learn sunt for they are. So you see how we got the bold is building up. So we've got the technical terms up there. We've got the beginning of the noun endings there. We've got the person endings here, and the same for the verb to be there. That's ones you all already ought to know. And then the red stuff is bringing in stage 5. Right, 6 and 7, we jump back to the past. That's a summary of 1 to 5. Going on to 6 here, so we've got the imperfect tense, which means was doing something or were doing something. And we learn the ending for she or he and they. And the same for the verb to be. That's she was and that's they were. And then stage 7, we jump to the perfect tense, which is a kind of simple past tense, just kicked or killed or twisted. And again, we learn the third person singular, it, and the they form in erunt. You see here this VSXU. That's a rather silly way of showing you how to work out whether it's perfect or not. That stands for very sexy underwear, and is a nice way of remembering VS, X and U. So those are the 4 letters to look for in the stem before the ending, but there are other things as well which your booklet will help you with. But that's a good starting point, is to remember VS, X, U. In 8 we have the accusative plural, okay, so filling out more of the noun table here. And we also learn about superlative adjectives, very happy or very good or the best. That's up there. Stage 9, we do 2 things really. We cover the new case, the dative case, used when you're doing something to or for somebody. And we also consolidate the pronouns of the I and the you pronouns in the singular. In 10, we do two things. We fill out completely the person, so we do the we and the you plural, or the y'all endings there, and the same for the verb to be, and we learn their pronouns. But we also learn the comparative adjective, the happier and better, the more good, more happy form of adjectives. And that's 1 to 10 as a summary. In 11, we learn nothing really. There's a few verbs that have a dative object, not an accusative object, that's it. But the book does actually point out the dative case of the we and the you plural pronouns, so I'll put those in there. 12, though, is important. It's the last stage of the Red Book, and it's where we get the full set of personal endings for all three tenses. So the red bits down here are the gaps we haven't learnt yet in the verb to be and in regular verbs for the imperfect and the perfect tense. So it's really important to learn these endings really, really well. Into the Blue Book, stage 13. This is where we get into some quite complex grammar with verbs for being able and wanting. That should be to want, in fact, that's a mistake. And the verb to be able or can is POT or POS plus the form of to be. So possum, potest, potest, etc. Wanting is down there. The N is where you have a not wanting. So nolo means not want, whereas wallow is I want. And if you are able or want to do something, you have to know how to say to do. So here at the bottom here we have the infinitive, which is to do something, and the verb ends in RE. That's how you recognise it. The verb to be is obviously quite often irregular, and its essays means to be in Latin. And finally, stage 14, we cover, at some level anyway, how adjectives agree with their nouns. So all these pairs here are correctly formed. So you might want to check you understand why and how that is. A good woman, a brave woman, a good slave, a brave slave, a lion, and a city. And I think that's it. That's the whole lot in bold. Nothing there to do. You've learned 3 years of Latin in 7 minutes and 46 seconds.